I'm Sandy Donovan. I'd like to take you on a little tour of some of the old redwork that I have around. This is all stuff I've accumulated over the years. Flea markets, garage sales, estate sales, and eBay, wherever I can find it. Comes in penny squares, piles of penny squares, comes in old quilts that need to be ripped apart, and just out of people's bottom drawers. Once people know what you're looking for, you'll find that it appears on your porch without even asking. So sit back and enjoy the few things that I have here to show you, and I hope that you have as much pleasure from it as I do. The first piece I have is a poinsettia on muslin. It's really a nice little piece. It's on Osnaburg, I believe. It's on a heavyweight muslin, and the back of the work shows the workmanship. Next I have some splashers, which are pieces of cloth they used on the back of the washstands, and it would keep water from splashing the wall or onto the floor. The first one is Splish Splash and has a detail. The next one is When Shall We Four Meet Again? And this I don't think is really a splasher, but it was called that when I found it. I want you to see the detail of the W from the word when and what the edging is. It's two pieces of rickrack intertwined and sewn down by machine. Next I have some dish towels. One is a Victorian German lady on linen with a really nice woven red border. There's also some fringing on this, but the fringing wasn't in great shape. I don't know what it says. Next slide is a contrast with the German lady and a more contemporary 20s maid outfit. Both of them are serving coffee or tea, and I think it's kind of interesting to see the different lifestyles of the different decades. There's lots of pillow covers available, usually in sets of two. They usually say good night on one and good morning on the other, or have something that means good morning and good night, which you'll see in a second. The first one, note how the word good is embroidered on the left-hand piece. The embroiderer has gone right through the letters and obliterated them. She followed the lines on the stencil. The next one, where it says good night, I believe, you'll see they have decided that the best way to do it is to go within the letters, in and out, intertwine them on that line. This lettering is called faux bois, and you'll see a lot of things that have this fake wood appearance. The theme of flowers is always popular, and note the fancified letters on this one. Also a good morning, good night theme. There's exaggerated curves in the lettering. I think this was probably something someone took their own initiative to do. There was rhyming and flower themes. Flowers meant something, and if you included a daisy, it would have a particular meaning. Victorian wedding bouquets always included special flowers with special wishes attached to them. So they did the same thing with the red work. The first one, Roses, Thy Color Bright, and that is a companion to Sweet Lilies Close Their Leaves at Night. So there's the rhyme, there's bright with the good morning, there's closing the leaves at night with the good night, and then you have a detail of the leaves part of it, and I want you to see how crudely this was done, probably by a child. I see these two as being made by a mother and a daughter while the daughter's learning to stitch, and you can see how she's attempted the cross-stitch border along the edge of it. The next grouping is I Slept and Dreamed That Life Was Beauty. And you see on the detail a woman sleeping. Note the little chain stitch, which was one of the first stitches the early embroidery machines would do. The second detail is of a harried and worried woman, and her pillow slip says, I woke and found that life was duty. I used to carry these around to my quilt lectures, and everybody got a kick out of them. This is a table cover, or a table topper, they call them. It's only about 2 feet square. So I want you to note the corner where the lady who was embroidering this with a beautiful satin stitch never measured and ran out of her border material, the little fringe that she's got around the end. So I imagine she would either put that to the back of the table or she would stick a vase on top of it. I really identify here. I now have a lot of penny squares, the little squares that would be bought for a penny with a stamped design on them. And you could also get a thing of floss, for another penny. The first bunch looked like they were done by a competent needlewoman. The quilting lines are still in here where this was taken apart from an actual quilt. You can look, if you look closely, you can see them. The second grouping is children's themes, which are really crudely drawn. And I really have to call your attention to the lower right-hand side. See the little girl with the cows behind her? They've elongated the cow so the head would show, but it looks like the cow is coming right out of her bonnet. It's one of the problems of a new artist. Again, I have a group of fruits and flowers, and these were cut from a larger piece. I don't know what they were. I bought them in these odd sizes as they are here. And I have a page of duplicates and triplicates of some designs. These are all done by the same woman. They were probably part of the same, either quilts or a quilt top, or perhaps off of the edge of something. I have my nursery rhyme themes, which are, I showed to you in the Dickory Dock quilt on the other slideshow. And that has a lot of different subjects. Each one is a different nursery rhyme. And the detail shows Simple Simon was a pieman. Finally, the last quilt squares I have, it's a little well-worn pumpkin, and it has the batting and backing still attached, but the whole thing was just cut straight from a quilt. I don't dare try to take it apart. It'll shred in my hands. Finally, I have my Days of the Week quilt, or hand towels. These were made by my mom, and she had them in her bottom drawer, and I kept begging her to give them to me, and she wouldn't. She kept saying that I would just cut them up. And she's probably right, I would have cut them up. Well, now she's gone, and I got the Days of the Week towels, and I can no more cut these up than the man in the moon. So I have a solution. And I use this for a lot of my red work that I use in my current work. I scan it. The first slide I have is of pieces of red work that I've cut out of other things, and I've glue sticked them down onto a piece of computer paper, and I just scan them and put them into the computer. I try to remember to reverse my images, so I have both the forward facing and the backward facing images when I need them, if I need 2 birds or something. I use treated muslin. You can buy pre-treated fabric, but I have my bubble jet set fabric, and I glue stick the edges down to a piece of old x-ray film, and I send it through my inkjet printer that way. It works fine. It's stiff enough that it goes through. Most people like freezer paper, but I haven't had a whole lot of luck with it, so I use the old x-ray film. As soon as it comes out of the printer, I let it dry, and then I put fusing on the back of it, and then it's ready to cut out. Whenever I need it, I've got a file full of these old images, and I want a bird or 2 birds or a duck or whatever. I've got them ready to go. One of the things I want to caution you on, and in the last slide you'll see the little baby, and if you're careful you'll cut out all the negative areas before you apply it to anything, so the background will show through. It gives it more a sense of a reality. Hope you've enjoyed my little tour through the old Redwork stitchery. I hope you get as much enjoyment out of a collection that you find and start cutting up as I have